You've seen them everywhere. Drones. They started out as these cool little toys you'd see buzzing around a park, right? But now, they're these incredible, revolutionary tools. So what's the big difference? What takes a drone from a 15-minute toy to a 40-hour workhorse? Well, the answer is way smaller and a lot more important than you probably think.
Okay, so you've got it, right? It's a drone, of course. But let's dig into that for a sec. The fancy technical name is an unmanned aerial vehicle, a UAV, and that name really tells you everything you need to know. The one thing that defines it is the empty cockpit, no pilot. And that one simple fact, it opens up this entire world of possibilities and a whole lot of complexity.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, what is a drone, really? Then we'll take a look at its anatomy, what makes it tick. After that, we'll get into that huge gap between toys and tools. We'll also have to talk about the risks, because there are some big ones. And finally, we'll look ahead to the drone of tomorrow. Sound good? Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. Let's get on the same page. What exactly is a drone?
And there you have it. The key thing here, no pilot, no passengers. That's it. It's either being flown by someone on the ground with a controller, or it's flying all by itself using software. It is, at its heart, an empty aircraft. And you know what? That simple fact, it changes absolutely everything. So, how do these things actually work? Let's pop the hood and look at the basic anatomy of a drone. We'll go through the main parts, but what I really want to focus on is the single biggest weakness, the one thing that's holding this entire technology back. Everything starts with the frame. Think of it as the drone's skeleton. And as you can see, they come in all shapes and sizes. But there's a pretty simple rule of thumb. The more arms and motors you have, the more stable that drone is going to be in the air. Okay, so you've got the frame, which we just saw. Then you have the propellers and motors. That's what gets it in the air. You've got the control system, which is basically the electronic brain telling it what to do. And then you have the power system, the source of energy. And this one, yeah, this is where we run into a major problem.
I mean, this quote from back in 2016 just nails it, doesn't it? A major drawback. The research is totally clear on this. The battery, it's the Achilles heel of drone technology. It is the single biggest thing holding them back, and it affects pretty much everything a drone can or can't do. 15 minutes. Just let that sink in. For your typical civilian drone, that's how long you get in the air before the battery is totally drained. Can you imagine trying to get any real work done when you have to land and recharge every 15 minutes? It's just not practical. And that limitation, that's the line in the sand between a fun toy and a serious tool.
So let's really see what that dividing line looks like. We're going to compare the kind of drones that most of us are used to seeing with the ones that are operating on a completely different planet, basically.
Okay, check this out. On the left, you've got something you've probably seen before, a DJ Phantom. It's a super popular drone for regular folks. And on the right, well, that's an MQ-1 Predator, a military drone. I mean, the difference in just the size and shape is kind of crazy, right? But the really shocking difference is they're under the hood. All right, look at this table. The real story is right there in that first row. Drive type. The little guy runs on an electric battery. The Predator, it's got an internal combustion engine, like a car. And look at what that one change does to the numbers. Flight time. It goes from 25 minutes to more than 24 hours. The range, from about 1 kilometer to over 700. It's not even in the same league. And it's all because it solved that power problem.
But even with those battery limits, these civilian drones are becoming seriously powerful tools. Think about public services. Police are using them to get a bird's-eye view of big events or to help in pursuits. Firefighters can strap on a thermal camera and find the hottest part of a fire from the sky. And border guards, they're using them to patrol really tough terrain that's hard to cover on foot.
And it's not just public services. In the business world, drone use is just exploding. They're checking out energy pipelines for damage, making super detailed maps for construction and surveying, and of course, they're capturing all those incredible aerial shots you see in movies. They're even starting to deliver packages right to your front door. It's wild.
Okay, so with all these drones buzzing around, we gotta talk about the flip side, the risks. What can go wrong? What do we need to be worried about as our skies get more and more crowded?
So the number one physical danger is pretty simple. The drone just falls right out of the sky. And what's the biggest reason for that? You probably guessed it. The battery dies unexpectedly. After that, you've got the obvious risks, like hitting a tree or a building. And then there's weather. A little rain or really cold temperatures can cause the whole system to just fail. But, you know, a drone falling out of the sky is one thing.
the physical risks are only half the story. There's a much bigger societal risk we need to talk about. Privacy. Our privacy. I mean, these are flying cameras that can go almost anywhere. They can follow people, watch them, and the idea of them being used everywhere for surveillance, well, that could be a real threat to our basic human rights.
Okay, so let's wrap this up by looking ahead. We've established that the battery is the big problem, right? So what's the solution? How do we get that incredible 40-hour flight time of a military drone into the hands of, well, everyone else?
Well, the good news is researchers are working on some seriously cool stuff. You've got graphene batteries, which are lighter, biodegradable, and charge way faster. Then there's something called pure lithium anodes, which could potentially quadruple a battery's power without making it bigger or heavier. Think about that. And then the real game changer could be fuel cells. They could provide continuous power as long as you've got fuel, like hydrogen. That would totally rewrite the rules.
So, that brings us to the final question, and it's a big one. Imagine we solve this. Imagine we break that 15-minute barrier, and flight time is basically a non-issue. What happens then? What's the biggest problem in the world that drones could finally help us solve? We're talking disaster relief, farming, global logistics, you name it. Suddenly, the sky isn't the limit anymore, is it?